Hey guys, it's Jordan with National Speed. Now if you're watching this video, then you're probably curious which performs better with bolt-ons and a tune. The 335 horsepower 2020 Supra or the 382 horsepower 2021 Supra. Well, today we're putting each head-to-head to answer that question. Now, both of our Supras in this comparison each have our Stage 3 package, we're tuned by the same tuner, tuned on the same dyno, and even better, we're each completed just days apart from each other with very similar conditions. And the results may surprise you. But before we get into that, let's run through the differences between the 2020 and the 2021 models real quick. For the most part, the model year updates are pretty minor, but there is one big difference. The 2020 models came with a B58 B30C 3-liter inline 6-cylinder engine, which features a 2-port exhaust manifold design. Toyota rates these engines at 335 horsepower and 365 pound-feet of torque, but this has proven to be an incredibly underrated number. Prime example, on our DynoJet 424 XLC2 dynos, these cars in 100% stock form repeatedly lay down between 330 and 340 wheel horsepower and 380 and 400 pound-feet of torque, obviously far exceeding the rated output at the engine. Now, in 2021, Toyota switched it up to the B58 M3001 engine, which is nearly identical but incorporates a 6-port exhaust manifold design and also drops compression ratio from 11:1 down to 10.2:1. But while the exhaust manifold between the 2-port and the 6-port engines is obviously different, the turbocharger CHRA itself is practically identical between the two engines. But now the kicker that the 2020 model owners were not too happy about is that factory rated output jumped up from 335 to 382, with torque only getting a mild bump from 365 to 368 pound-feet of torque. And just like with the 2020s, we also learned that the 2021s were incredibly underrated from the factory. On our dynos, these cars in 100% stock form repeatedly lay down between 370 and 390 wheel horsepower, and just like the 2020s, between 380 and 400 pound-feet of torque. So as you can see, there's a pretty significant difference between the two in stock form. Not only does the 2021's 47 extra horsepower show up clearly at peak, but it also produces an additional 60 horsepower and 50 pound-feet of torque at 6,000 RPM. Pretty wild difference. And it goes without saying that the proud new owners of the 2020 models were not too thrilled with this news at the time. Now obviously, given everything we just talked about, if you're planning on leaving your Supra stock, then the 2021 is the clear winner. But seriously, who the hell buys an A90 Supra to leave its stock? And in that case, the winner isn't so clear. Alright, that all said, onto the good stuff. The 2020 model is Renaissance Red and is equipped with our Stage 3 package. MST Performance air intake system, the optional MST Performance Turbocharger inlet, ETS downpipe with GESI catalytic converter connected to the stock exhaust, and also the optional AMS charge pipe, which is more about reliability than power. The 2021 model is turbulence gray and belongs to Ivan, and is also equipped with our Stage 3 package. The only difference is that it still has the factory charge pipe in place. But again, that's more about reliability than power. For all intents and purposes, they're equipped identically. Each will be calibrated via EcuTek by our in-house calibrator Vlad, and both are on 93 octane pump gas. So, will the 2021 reign dominant? Let's find out. Up first, our 2020 model. Super repeatable runs here, very consistent, back to back to back. All 3 runs reported 0 knock. In short, this calibration file is what we would consider perfectly safe. So let's have a closer look at the best from those 3 runs. And here are the conditions for that run. Pretty hot and muggy day. Now let's overlay our stock baseline. Peak gains of 133 horsepower and 142 pound-feet of torque, with maximum gains coming in at 145 horsepower and 152 pound-feet of torque. Seriously, crazy difference for such minimal work. Oh, and just for fun, here's a cooled down hero pull with a bit spicier calibration. This run had 1 extra degree of ignition timing applied, and while the power showed up, we did log some knock, which tells us that we found the limit of the octane, so we backed it down for the sake of reliability. Next, the 2021 model gets strapped down. Just like the 2020, super repeatable runs here as well. Now let's pick the best from these runs. And here are the conditions for that run. Still not great conditions, but it came in at about 5 degrees cooler with 15% less humidity than what the 2020 was exposed to. Now let's overlay our stock baseline. Peak gains of 73 horsepower and 122 pound-feet of torque, with maximum gains coming in at 101 horsepower and 124 pound-feet of torque. Not quite as much of a gain as the 2020, but these improvements are still super impressive. Now for the overlay comparison. And as we look at the results here, they are remarkably similar. But as you can see, the 2020 takes the lead, but by a slim margin. Each were tuned with the same spicy level to extract the maximum safe horsepower. So what's going on here? Well, our totally non-scientific subjective take is that while the new 6-port design is more efficient for peak power delivery in stock form, the 2-port design offers a slightly broader power band at this stage of modifications. And while the performance difference between 2-port and 6-port is minimal at this stage, we suspect that the 6-port cylinder head comes out on top at the big power level. But since the stock turbocharger CHRA is practically identical, overall output is pretty similar at this stage. That, and the 2-port's 11:1 compression ratio may offer a bit of an edge over the 6-port's 10.2:1 compression ratio. Now, would these differences show up at the track? Probably not. One driver eating a heavier lunch may play a larger role in the times. What happens if each had port injection and flex fuel? Or if each were fitted with the same upgraded turbocharger? Maybe we'll get a chance to run that comparison as well. But the good news, if you plan on modifying, you're in great shape whether you choose a 2020 or a tunable 2021 model. Just get some work done, get a good calibration, and go have fun. As always, if you have any questions at all, we're happy to chat. Thanks for watching.